I'm going to rebalance one of my portfolios. This is my website, obviously. We scroll down to see what the actual costs, fees, performance and everything is. And this is the one I'm going to rebalance. It's the higher risk rated portfolio. So the first thing to do is to log into it. And this one happens to be on AJ Bell. There are other platforms that are good. And lots of platforms that are not so good. So step by step, the first thing to do is to find out what allocations I currently have. These are the actual allocations I have on this particular investment portfolio, and I want to download those. So I go to these three dots here. Obviously you need to log in and go to your portfolio first, and this is the process in AJ Bell. The principles will apply in others as well. And I want to download a CSV, so I click download CSV. So I download it and I open it, and this is what it looks like. It's a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of noise there and information that we don't need. So first of all, let's get rid of the bits and bobs that we don't need. We don't need the costs, and we don't need all the way through to portfolio. So I've selected those, right click and delete. That makes things a little neater. I want to expand this column. I'm going to make, and I just double clicked on that row there. You can drag it across or just double click and it does that. I'm also going to select this top row and make it bold because it just makes my life a little easier. Now I want to find out what the total value of my portfolio is. This is the total values here. I want to add that lot up, and the way to do that is pretty straightforward. You put equals and then type in sum and brackets, and you can either type in the cell numbers, or I just click all and drag all the way down and then put a close brackets, hit return, and that gives me this amount. And I'm now going to make that an easier format, which is by making it pounds, which is what it is. Next is over here on column F, I want to give myself the percentages. So I've just typed in a percentage up there, and I want to work out what each of these assets, these investments, each one of these is a fund or an ETF, and I want to know what percentage each one of those is of the allocation. And to do that, very straightforward, it equals this cell then divided by that cell. Now that gives me that number, and I want that to be a percentage, so I go up here and click percent. And if you're wondering where it is, it's on the home tab. Now that says 1%, which is all fine and dandy. I'm going to give that an extra, oh, it's that way, yeah. So one of these two, I always get those confused. Now, if you try to just sort of, you mouse over that square at the bottom right-hand corner of that particular cell and then drag it down, if you do that now, it doesn't make sense, because this formula, you have to put, in order to keep it as D10, and you put a dollar there and then insert the dollar there. And now when I drag it down, it gives me the right numbers. So I now know what the allocation is for each of these assets. And the next thing to do is to find out what the model asset classes are. But before that, I'm actually going to change this title to actual. So I know it's the actual allocation because it's obvious that it's a percentage. So yeah. So now I go to invest without being ripped off, and I go to the model portfolios. So I go here and scroll back up to the top, and I go to my portfolios down to model portfolio allocations. Now, as I said, I am rebalancing a tier 4 higher risk portfolio. These are the model allocations that I've come up with, and I explain all about that on the website and in the book. So I highlight the higher risk allocations and I copy, and then I go back to the the CSV file that I downloaded, and I paste in what I've just got from the website. Now, one thing that you might notice straight away, this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 allocations. So I'll just do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 allocations. This, however, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 allocations. The reason being, short-term bonds has such a tiny allocation at the moment, there's no point in my allocating money to it. By the time I've paid the fees to do that, it's going to be such a small allocation, it's not worth it. Now, if I had a larger sum of money than that, so if I had, say, I don't know, £200,000, then maybe it would be worth it. But at this level, the average allocation I've managed to glean across loads and loads of different risk-rated portfolios means that it's not worth allocating money to short-term bonds. So I don't have that there. So that's that done. The next thing to do is to work out which of these here that I've got my money in corresponds with these. So the first one is easy, cash. So we can move that one over. So I highlight the square and I move it over to there. So that's cash. And I'm just going to change the format here because I find that irritating, and we'll stop that from scrolling round. And I'm just going to do that over here as well. So when I move the next one over, it won't do that. So that's cash taken care of. This one we know isn't going to do anything. So I'm going to make that grey. So I know not to worry about it. I'll make it a lighter shade of grey. I mean, it's just so I know I've taken care of it. Now, to find out which one this is, I go once again to my website and we're looking for core UK government bonds, GILS. So the ticker is GILS. And that is under the funds that I list. So low cost funds list that I use to build my portfolios and keep the costs super cheap. So it was UK government bonds and it's GILS, and there it is. It's this one. So that is indeed under UK government bonds. So I go back to this, it's UK government bonds, and I move that up there. This one is Global ETF MWAS. Now, I happen to know that that is global equity, but if I didn't know, I'd have to scroll down through to find out. But we're looking for MWAS, the ticker, to make sure we've got the right funds. MWAS Global ETF. And we go back to the website and we scroll down to global shares, global equity. I call it global shares just to keep it simple and make it obvious. Blah, blah, UK shares, global shares, MWAS, there it is. That's the ticker and it's under global shares. So we know that it's global shares. And we go back to the Excel file. MWAS, global shares, and global shares is that one. So we go up there and we repeat that process with the others. Prime global government bonds. So global government bonds, PRIG, P-R-I-G. That's what we're looking for. Global government bonds, P-R-I-G, P-R-I-G. We've got PERG. Where's PRIG? Where is it? Ah, there it is, global government bonds. So I don't know what I was looking at before, but it's there. So it is global government bonds is indeed that one. So we moved that one. Global government bonds goes to, so that's what I'm looking for. Global government bonds is PRIG, which is that one. Next is iShares Environment Carton. Now the key here is these two letters there, RE, which means real estate, and that tells me that this is an alternatives. and excuse me, and to prove it, just to make sure, B5BFJG7. So that is alternatives, which is down towards the bottom. Global aggregates, UK shares, blah blah. Property real estates, there it is. B5BFGG7, property real estates, which is alternatives. And we go back to that. I'll have to change the title so it's clearer that it's alternatives on the website. I will do that. That will be there before you get to it, all being well. Next up, ESG screen overs corporate bonds. So I think this is UK corporate bonds, so that must be global corporate bonds. B58YKH5, global corporate bonds. And we go over here, global corporate bonds. B5, there it is. B58Y, is that the same one? I think it is. B58, yeah, it is. So global corporate bonds is that one. And then we have this one, which is UK shares, UK equity. And just for the heck of it, to show you that it really is, we'll go over here, and it's B7C44X9, UK shares, B7C44X9, and that's it. UK shares, which is that one, and it's obvious that this is the last one, and just make absolutely sure that we've got the right one. So we're looking at GBPC under UK corporate bonds, GBPC, UK corporate bonds, global corporate bonds, GBPC, and there it is. So we now have allocated all of these correctly. So the next thing I do, I'm going to double click on this line here when that symbol comes up. So when it turns from an arrow into that, I double click and it expands out. Let's move this across a little bit. And that I am not going to call anything. I'm going to call this model, and I'm going to type in the numbers I have here. So this is 1.49%. That is 64.45%. That is 401%. 70. And I am automating this so that I can just go to my website and type in the numbers on my allocation, and the website will keep my portfolio, so I can just log in and put it in, so that you can do that on the website as well if that's what you want, if you will find that useful. Doing it this way gives you total control over everything. You won't lose control with the automated system, but this one, some people prefer it like this. But if you want it done for you, there will be a small monthly charge. It'll be a few pounds. It won't be much, but it's so much work to maintain. But by doing it this way, there's absolutely no cost to you at all. If you want to do it this way, this is not advice. This is just how I do it, and it gives people an explanation of what goes on. So there we go. That's all the allocations. So now I want to work out how far away the actual is from the model. So at the moment, I have 1% of my actual portfolio in UK government bonds. The model says 1.5%. So I need to have the differences here. So this I'm going to call the difference, and I'm going to calculate it. It's a very simple calculation. Equals the actual minus the model. So that will tell me how far out I am, and I'm 0.5% below where I should be. And I'm just going to reduce the number of decimal places. I do not need 30 decimal places, or however many that was, and just make that a little more sensible, and then bring that all the way down here. And now I want to know what that is in terms of money. So the difference in terms of money, let's get the pound coin. Oh, where's the pound coin hidden? The pound thingy hidden. I don't know. So let's do that. So GBP, Great British Pounds. And to do that, it is equals that square multiplied by that, which is the total value of the portfolio. Now again, with this I have to put the dollar thing in front of the D10 because I always want it to be divided by that total sum, and by putting the dollar signs in front of it, that's what it does. As I say, this will all be available as an automated tool on the website. I'll let you know when that happens. Just drag that out so we can see those. Now the first thing to notice is, well, I'm going to change is this figure here. In cash, I don't want more than £200 in cash. 590 there. So I'm going to ignore the allocations and the difference. And I'm just going to put in 590 minus 200 is £390. So I have £390 in cash that I'm going to use to buy. So I'm effectively going to sell cash, but that's just going to be confusing. So I'm going to say use to buy other assets. And I have too much of the global shares, so I'm going to sell. I have insufficient of the UK government bonds, so I'm going to buy. Insufficient, that's a buy. Insufficient, so I need to buy. Too much, so I need to sell. Insufficient, so I need to buy. And bonds, too much, so I'm going to sell. Now, am I going to bother? £92. Am I going to bother? No. So I'm not going to change that because it's only £92 difference. So we ignore that. So no change, ignore because it's too small. So the first things I need to do are sell. So whatever the biggest sum is to sell, that's what I do first. So that is my first task, is to sell around £238 worth of global shares. What's the next biggest thing I need to sell? It's this one. So that's my second task, is to sell around £400 worth of global corporate bonds. The next highest amount I have to sell is 366. So do that third. And the next one, are there any other cells? No, there aren't. So the next thing I need to do then is to start buying. What's the biggest thing I have to buy? Well, it's that. So that is fourth. And the next biggest to buy is that one, which is my fifth task. And the next biggest to buy is that one, which is my sixth task. Now, why do I do it in that order? Well, you have to sell to generate the cash before you can buy something. That's why I will always sell things before I buy them. I will sell the biggest first because they're the ones that definitely need to be done. It may be that by the time I get to these, that it might cost say £350 per unit to sell, in which case I would just ignore it because it's not a big amount. It's only 0.5%. But you know, we'll see when we get there. So that's why I will do the selling first, sell, and then the buys will be the big buys. That is definitely worth buying. That is definitely worth buying. And then sixth, well, we'll see if that's worth buying. And this one, 92 quid, we can ignore that. And the cash that's here is already in place. So those are the things I'm going to do in that order. So I've logged back in, and I've also moved the database here, well, the spreadsheet, so you can see what I'm doing. Now, the first thing I need to do is that, because it's first, as we said earlier. So this is the one I'm going to do first. And what is it? It is to sell around about £2,383 worth of that, the Amundi Prime Global. Now, you can either click on this, and you can see it's MWAS, the ticker comes up. So if you, I'm going to open this in another window, open in a new tab. So there we go. Let's just click on that, and we can see that it's MWAS. The alternative is to click on deal and go straight to the deal, but it does no harm to click on the actual fund, make sure you're looking at the right one, which it is, and then we know that the task here is to sell. So we click on sell. And don't panic if you get it wrong. You know, if you buy when you should sell or sell when you should buy, don't panic. You can reverse it. It'll cost you a few quid, but it's not a big deal. Now, I'm not going to go with quantity. I'm going to let these guys work that out for me. So a couple of things first. Select an account. Well, you have to select your account. I'm going to select mine, and I want to sell, and I will indeed be going with at best and not limit. Limit means you name the highest or lowest price at which you are prepared to buy or sell respectively. I'm going to go with what's the best available at the market. I'm perfectly happy with that. It keeps things simple, and because I don't buy and sell very often, it doesn't really make a lot of difference to me. So I will select the account, and then we will come down to value. So in this here value, you've got value and quantity. This tells you the number of units. I'm holding 1,173 of those units, which corresponds with that. Yay! But I want the value number. So the value I'm going to sell is 2,382. I'll call it 2,380. Yeah, we'll call it 2,383. And I want to include the charges. I do not want that added on. So it'll be, I don't know, about somewhere between £5 and £15 in charges. I want that included in this sum because that's all part of it. So I will now get a quote. And there is the quote. It's at £36.73, which is right. That corresponds with this. I'm not going to be hurried into any sort of action, so that's expired. It only gives you 15 seconds, and then it has to go again with a different price, which is absolutely fine. So I'm just going to run that again. One thing first of all though to look at is here. So the total amount is £2,424, a dealing charge of £5, but that is the closest amount. So it's gone slightly over because each unit is £36. You can't buy part of a unit or sell part of a unit. That's fine. So I'm selling slightly more. The amount is near as damn it about right. So I'll just do that again. And next time around, I will get the price. So we've just gone down to scroll down to requote. So I'll press requote. And this time I'll scroll down and accept the quote. And now we can go back to view portfolio. So here we are back in the portfolio, and what we can see is that nothing's changed. That still says 1,173, which is what I had before. So what we do see though is that that's an active order, which means it's waiting to process it. So it probably won't happen. If it's an ETF, it probably won't happen for a few minutes. It might, in some funds, it might take a couple of days. So we'll just click on active order and see what it tells us. And here we can see that the this is a pending order. It's the 66 that I wanted to sell, and that is the amount that has been sold. That doesn't include the fees that have been added on top, which is only about £5 anyway. So we're just waiting for this one to clear. It says it's been dealt. So let's go back to the portfolio and see if it has. Or indeed, we can just refresh the table and see if it's gone through. No, nothing's changed there. That's fine. So let's go back to the portfolio. So it's taken a couple of minutes, but we can see now that the units have gone down from here, from 1173 to 1107. So that deal has now gone through. So we can just mark this one as having been completed, and I'm going to change the color to green just to make it nice and easy for me to see that I've done it. So that's first is done. Second is to sell around £400 worth of global corporate bonds, which is iShares ESG Screen Others, which is this one. So I shall click on this and have a look there. And here we are. I click on sell. It's on sell. I want to include the charges, and the value was about £400. So let's see how close we can get to, well, it says 404 pounds, which is this amount here, because that's what we're working on now. 404. So we shall review the order. Now it says review order as opposed to place deal, because it's a fund and they get pricing at the end of the day. So this one's probably going to take a couple of days to clear. So let's review the order and see what comes up. So it's a fund order to sell, £405, almost exactly the right amount. Dealing charge of £1.50, so it is exactly the right amount. That's perfect. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to submit that order. That one's going to take a couple of days for it to process, because it's a fund and funds get priced at the end of the day. That's fine. A couple of business days, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to consider that one as having been placed but not completed. So I don't need to do anything else on that apart from keep an eye on it. So I'll just make that amber. So that's the second thing I need to do. And then the third is this one. And that is L&B Jibbabup Corporate Bud Skrin Utfuf Jigdisk, which we all know and love. So let's go look at that one. Back to the portfolio and have a look at what it looks like. Here it is. It is L&G Jibbabup Corporate Bud Skrin. That one. And I need to sell about £366 worth. So I click on that. Here we are, I click sell, and again we can see GBPC just to make sure it's matching the ticker, which it is. Click sell, include, and it's £366. And I will get a quote. And there's the quote. I'm happy with that. Let's sell. I've accepted the quote, that's been processed, and that will probably now be one of the pending orders that will take a couple of minutes to go through. So let's go have a look, see if it's there. Well, I'll go back to my account and I can see that it's actually already gone through, so that took less than a minute. So that's good. So that one has been processed, so that gets a green, and there. Took me a moment. Okay, anything else to sell? No. One to ignore, so that one we don't need to do anything for. So that's third. Fourth is to buy £1,000 worth. Now it might be that I don't have enough cash yet and that I have to wait until clearance, which might take a day or two, for the cash to be in my account after it's sold. So that's what we call T+1 or T+2. That's where you trade and then +1 day or +2 days later the money's in your account. So it may well be that I don't have enough cash in my account yet and I have to come back a day or two later, which I'll include in this video, to complete the buying. Again, another reason why I sell before I buy, because otherwise I don't have any cash with which to buy. So let's have a look at the cash total and see what I've got. Ooh, I've got lots of cash. Look at all of that. So in theory, I should be able to invest. It says I can, so we shall see. So that one has processed already. It's down to 86 units, and ETFs are done pretty quickly, so the cash is already in my account. I can just check the cash balance and I can see it there. And that means I need to move on to task number 4, which is to buy £1,075 worth of UK shares. That is the 4th task, so that is what I look for now. And UK shares, that is B7C4X, and what comes up when I click on this, and there it is, that's the one. So I will open that in another window, and there we go. And this one I want to buy, so I click on buy. This is buy, correct. I want to include the fees and the amount here. Task number 4, £1,075 worth. 1075. And I want to include the charges. I always include the charges. It just makes life easier. Now, I am very familiar with the KID documents, which is the key information documents or the key investor information documents, depending on KID or KID, and the product summary. I've done all of that, so I can click this box. If you haven't, you should. So I am now going to review my order. This gives me an indicative price because it is a fund. They won't know what the price is until the end of the day. Dealing charge £1.50. I can afford that. I am submitting my order. So that is an active order. It is a fund. They won't get the price of the fund till the end of the day. So this one will take a couple of days to process, and that's fine and dandy. So just to be sure, let's have a look at my active orders to see what I'm waiting on. And look at that. You can see that these two that say dealt, they've been dealt. So I now have the cash in the account from those two. This one is pending. It's the one that I've just placed. This one is in progress. It's the one I've sold. So I'm happy with that. I am now going to mark this as amber because it is an order. It hasn't completed yet. So I need to keep an eye on it, make sure it does go through and there aren't any problems. I don't think there will be, but you never know. I'm not going to panic if there are. So now we're on to task number 5, which is to buy the alternatives, £1,020 worth of alternatives, which is, of course, the iShares in very low carb tilt rates. Let's go back to the account and have a look at that. So this is the one, iShares Enviro blah, and the numbers match 1318, 1318. So we click on this. This is the one I want to do next. iShares blah, blah, blah. And this is the one I want to buy. Click on buy. And it very helpfully tells me how much cash I have to play with, and I want to buy £1,020 worth, including the fees. I suppose really when I'm buying I shouldn't be including the fees, so let's exclude the fees on this one. I've got lots of cash in the bank. Cash here to play with, so yeah, when I'm buying I should probably exclude the fees. When I'm selling I include the fees. It's just my personal preference, and as I said before, I've read these documents, so I know that this is right for me. Yeah, so fine and dandy. We are buying £1,020 worth, £1,020 plus the fees. Review the order. This is the latest available price. That looks good to me. 1,020 plus a dealing charge of £1.50. Well, yeah, it doesn't make a whole heap of difference, really, does it? Submit the order. Go to View Active Orders. And there we go. These are all the orders that are active and happening. So that one has happened. So I can now put that in. Is it in progress? Was it just which one was it? Oh. It's that one. It's buy. It's a fund order as opposed to at best. So because it's a fund, it's going to take a while. So yeah, this one is another amber one. So we'll just make that amber. What are we left with? We ignore that. So I need to buy £330 worth of UK government bonds. I think I'm going to have too much cash left over, so I might have to come back and just buy a few more bits and bobs. I can deal with that in a minute. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'll look at that when the funds have processed and done their thing, and then see what else I want to buy to make sure I don't have too much cash sitting in the account. But anyway, in the meantime, the next task is the Amundi UK Govtbtk Etfdst, or GILS as we like to call it. So back to the account. And there it is. I have 6 units there, and I want to buy around £330 worth. So let's click on that. And we want to buy. I want £330 worth, call it 332. We will exclude the fees, dealing charge, whatever it happens to be. I have read the KID documents and I want a quote. And this one, being an ETF, just gives me the price straight away per unit. I'm happy with that. Accept quote and view the portfolio. So there are still various things that need to go through. That one hasn't cleared yet. It will. I'll refresh this, and it shouldn't take long to get through because it's an ETF, an exchange traded fund. And it's like buying shares in something, but the shares you're buying something in are a load of investments as opposed to a company. Yeah, I'll do something on that. I'll explain that at some point. But yeah, so that's that done. I'm going to refresh that and see if that has completed. And sure enough, after a few moments, less than a minute, it has completed. So I have now done everything I can do today to get those done. And that one has actually completed. This one I was always going to ignore anyway. Though if I have enough cash left over and if they're not too expensive, then I'll buy those. So what I do now is I wait a couple of business days for these 3 funds to do their thing. And that will, as I say, take a couple of business days. Then I look to see how much cash I have here. And if I have more than £200, I will buy something somewhere according to what I feel is best. And I'll share that with you later in the video. It's a couple of business days later, so I've gone back into my account to see if the trades that I placed have all cleared. The ones on ETFs, exchange traded funds, those complete pretty much straight away, as you saw, but the other ones that are in ordinary funds, the units of each of those funds gets priced at the end of the day, so it takes a day or two for those things to complete. And I'm back looking at my account, and the first thing I can see is I have a huge amount of cash up in the top right hand corner here. And I need to work out why I have so much cash. And if I look here, I have 3 active orders. So the first thing I need to do is see if those are still active or if they've completed. On clicking on the active orders box, I can see here in the right hand side that the contracts have gone through. It says contracted. Not as in small, but as in the contract has been completed. I know it's bad English, but there we go. And the files have been archived. So the 3 active orders here is slightly nonsensical. It just means that those have been completed. So if I want to see if they've been completed, I can see this here. So I need to go back to the home page and look at my overall portfolio. So here I am back on the home page, and I'm going to click these 3 dots and download the CSV file again to have a look and see which ones I can add more assets to, which ones I can buy more of, what would make sense. That's the calculation I showed before when I was conducting the rebalancing, the various buys and sells are here. Those have all gone through, so I can in fact now make all those green just to make myself feel better because I'm somewhat OCD, I suppose. So that is that now cleared. So what I've done is I've downloaded the latest updated portfolio, and it looks like this. So that is what I now have, and I've worked out what the different allocations are, and the difference between the model portfolio and the actual portfolio is tiny. The really big difference is, what do you know, cash, because I didn't allow for the fact that I only want £200 worth of cash. So taking £200 off this allocation of cash, which is what I have left, if you remember, just take a quick look back at the document, the balance. That's the available cash I have now, 1,375, and obviously that is too much. So I want to have just £200, which leaves me with £1,175. So 1,375 minus 200 gives you 1,175. Those are the model portfolio allocations that we are sticking to. And this is where I am now with the updated portfolio. So I'm really not that far out. The model portfolio, because I've not adjusted the cash allowance to be included across this, it's not a big deal, but it shows this allocation of UK government bonds as being, well, less than 1% out, but £31 out. And this one is £110 out. So they're actually really, really close. And I have to decide what I'm going to do with the extra £1,175. And what I've decided to do, scrolling across, is work out of that mismatch of underbought funds. So if we add all these together, this is one way of doing it. It's not scientific. Because it's such a tiny proportion of the overall portfolio, I'm using my common sense basically. So the total mismatch is for those that are not at or above zero is £262, and £110 of that, which is how far under I am the allocation for the global shares, that's 42% of £262. And 42% of £1,175, if I'm going to proportionally do it, is £494. So essentially what I'm going to do is buy £500 worth of global shares, £500 worth of global government bonds, and £150 worth of UK government bonds. So I'm not going to show you my actually doing that because I've already shown you that. What I will do is do it, or as they say in America, I'll go ahead and do it. And then I'll show you the completed trades and where I end up. So we start always with the largest one, and that is this one. Not by much, but it is global government bonds. So I need to buy about £500 worth of global government bonds. So let me show you the certificate that I have completed that with. There it is. I did not include the dealing charge in the amount. I had that as on top of the amount I was buying, and I bought £496 in total, including the dealing charge, which is fine. And the next one is the next biggest, which is this one, and that is global shares. So let's have a look at the certificate for completing global shares. And there it is, global ETF DISTB, £519, including the dealing charge, or £514, not including it. I bought an extra one to tip it over £500. They were £36.72 each, and I bought an extra one because, it's close enough and I want the cash to be used. So that one went through, and then that leaves a £150 allocation to UK government bonds. The other one was global government bonds. This one is UK government bonds, £150 worth. Let's have a look at the dealing certificate that completes this. And there it is, UK government bonds. Only one bought because it's £100 each. That's fine. So I've added another one to it. It cost me £5 to buy it. Which, yeah, that's fair enough. That's good use of the cash as far as I'm concerned. So now I've done those, let's go back and see how much cash is left uninvested in my portfolio. And it is a much better amount of £253. So £200 or more for a SIP is really good. If it was an ISA, I could probably get away with £100, £150, but with a SIP, the charges and fees and whatnot are higher. So I am now happy. I have now made the allocations that I've got. I'm slightly over allocated on a few things, but I have such huge allocations to them, it doesn't really matter terribly. I am pretty close to the model allocation. And in my experience and in my opinion, getting precisely close to the model allocation is a bit of a waste of time. You get as close as you reasonably can because things aren't going to pan out the way you hope them to. And I'm taking the average allocation decisions of 150 odd different risk-rated funds, as I've said before. But that is my process of rebalancing. Now, importantly, I am creating tools that allow you to do all of this automatically, and they will appear on my website. But in the meantime, if you want to do it for free, this is how I do it. It's up to you if this works for you. It's not advice, but this is how I copy the expertise of the big banks and institutions, but pay a fraction of what they charge.